two books. We've got the Infernal City, and we've got the Lord of Souls, and apparently they are the same. No, they are a series, and I was reading the second one, and I need to read this one instead. So we will start over again because I am a silly Billy, and I only realized after like 7 pages. But at least I realized, I think that's the most important part of that. Yeah, start over. Well, here we go. Again, a prologue. When Ifish felt the sea shudder, he knew. The wind had already fallen like a dead thing from the sky, gasping as it succumbed upon the iron swells, breathing its last to its mariner's ears. The sky always knew first. The sea was slow, dreadful slow, to come around. The sea shook again, or rather seemed to drag beneath their keel. Up in the crow's nest, Keem screamed as he was tossed out like a kitten. Ifish watched him twist and almost impossibly catch the rigging with those Cathai Wrath claws of his. Cathai Wrath intervention is a Khajiit. Thank you guys. Standar! Grain swore in her South Niban twang. What was that? A tsunami? Her feeble human gaze surged out through the dusk. No, Ifish murmured. I was off the Somerset Isles when the sea tried to swallow them, and I felt one of those pass under us, and another. When I was younger, off the coast of Marwind, in deep water, you don't feel much. This is deep water. Then what? She brushed her silver and gray bangs off her useless eyes. Ifish twitched his shoulders in imitation of a human shrug and ran his claws through the patchy fur of his forearm. So Ifish is also a Khajiit. We've got two Khajiits. The still air smelled sweet, like rotting fruit. See anything, Keem? He called up. My own death, nearly. The Niquin alien cat shouted back, his voice rasping hollow, as if the ship was in a box. He lithely hauled his sleek body back into the nest. Nothing on the sea, he continued after a moment. Under it, then, Grain said nervously. Ifish shook his head. The wind, he said. And then he saw it. In the south, a sudden blackness, a crackle of green lightning, and then a form like a tall thunderhead bellowed into being. Hold on, he shouted. And now came a clap like thunder, but 40 times louder, and a new fist of wind that snapped the mainmast, taking poor Keem to the death he had nearly seen. Then all was still again, except for the roaring in his damaged ears. By the gods, what can it be? He barely heard Grain ask. The sea doesn't care, Ifish said, watching the dark mass move towards them. He looked around his ship. All of the masts were broken, and it appeared that half the crew was already gone. What? Not many Khajiit take to the sea, he said. They'll bear it for trade, to move skooma around, but few there are who love her. But I've adored her since I could mule, and I love her because she doesn't care what the gods or Daedra think. She's another world, with her own rules. What are you going on about? I'm not sure, he admitted. I feel it. I don't think it. But don't you think? Doesn't it feel like... He didn't finish. He didn't need to. Grain stared out towards the thing. I see it now, she said. Yes. The masts are broken. Oh no. I saw an oblivion gate open once, she said. When my father worked in Leowin, I saw things. It feels a little like that. But Martin's sacrifice, they say it can't happen again. And it doesn't look like a gate. It wasn't shaped like a thunderhead, Ifish realized. more like a fat cone, point down. Another wind starting up, and on it something unbelievably foul. It doesn't matter what it is, he said. Not to us. And a few instants later, it didn't. A fat cone? Yeah, a fat cone, guys. That's what they're seeing. Sol's throat hurt, so he knew he had been screaming. He was soaked with sweat. His chest ached, and his limbs were trembling. Ice cream cone? No, like a pine cone. A fat pine cone. Upside down. You see? So the thinner part is at the bottom. It is not very descriptive, is it? But I know what the thing looks like, so I know they mean a pine cone. Do they even have ice cream in Tamriel? Important question. Pine cream cone? Ice pine cone. Neither. He opened his eyes and forced his head up so he could see where he was. A man stood in the doorway with a drawn sword. His eyes were very wide and blue beneath the shock of curly, barley-colored hair. Swearing, Sol reached for his own weapon, where it hung on the bedpost. "Just hold on there," the fellow said, backing up. "It's just you've been hollering so. I was worried something was happening to you." The dream light was still fading, but his mind was starting to turn. If the fellow had wanted him dead, he probably would be. "Where am I?" he asked, taking a grip on his long sword. Despite his reasoning. "In the Langfellow Inn," the man replied. And then after a pause, "In Coral." "Coral, right. Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Sol said. "Nothing to concern you." "They have cream and ice, so yes, I guess." "Interesting. Do they have cream?" "I've never seen cream in Tamriel." "Ah, yes." The man looked uncomfortable. "Do you, scream like that, every—" "I won't be here tonight." Sol cut him off. "I'm moving on." "I didn't mean to offend." "You didn't," Sol replied. "The breakfast is out down there." "Thank you, please leave me." The man closed the door. Sol sat there for a moment, rubbing the lines in his forehead. "Azura," he murmured. He always knew the prince's touch, even when it was light. This had not been light. He closed his eyes and tried to feel the sea jump beneath him, to hear the old Khajiit captain's words. See again through his eyes, that thing appearing in the sky. Everything about it stank of oblivion. After spending 20 years there, he ought to know the smell. "Wuhan," he sighed. "It must be you, Wuhan, I think. Why else would the prince send me such a vision? What else would matter to me?" No one answered, of course. He remembered a little more. After the Khajiit had died, he had seen Ilshaven as he last saw her, pale and lifeless, and the smoking Shatterlands that had once been Morrowind. Those were always there in his dreams, whether Azura meddled with them or not. But there had been another face, a young man, Colovian probably, with a slight bend in his nose. He seemed familiar, as if they had met somewhere. "That's all I get?" Sol asked. "I don't even know which ocean to look in." The question was directed at Azura, but he knew it was rhetorical. He also knew he was lucky to even get that. He dragged his wiry gray body out of bed and went over to the wash basin to splash water in his face and blink red eyes at himself in the mirror. He started to turn away when he noticed, behind him, in the reflection, a couple of books propped in an otherwise empty shelf. He turned, walked over, and lifted the first. Tales of Southern Waters, it announced. He nodded his head and opened the second. The most current and high adventures of Prince Atribus. Oh, Atribus we just read in the second book. Spoiler! Spoiler! And there, on the frontispiece, was an engraving of a young man's face with a slightly crooked nose. No way, it's him! For the first time in years, Sol uttered a hoarse laugh. Well, there you go, he said. I'm sorry I doubted you, my prince. An hour later, armed and armored, he rode south and east toward madness, retribution, and death. And though he had long ago forgotten what happiness was, he imagined it must have been a little like what he felt now. Also, Soy has watched that video. What video? The one with the hiss and the boobs? Why is he gray? Okay, he's gray because he is a Dunmer. Dunmer are gray because of a curse that Azura has placed on them after a betrayal that they did. This was in my Elder Scroll PowerPoint. Good evening, everyone. Hi. I don't remember what he said. But I don't remember him saying that, so I don't think he said that, yeah. Also, Edo, I hope your week next week is gonna be nicer. Don't know what happened, but I hope it gets better. We all have those weeks sometimes, don't we? It's cringe to listen to Soy. Wow, are you just gonna take that, Soy? Damn. He lounged on a long weave cane couch, one arm draped so as to suspend over a cypress end table, whose surface was supported by the figure of a crouching Khajiit warrior. The Argonian was all silhouette, because behind him the white curtains that draped the massive bay windows of the study were soaked in sunlight. Here are some things we could do instead. He tickled over glossy black claw on the table. He ticked one glossy black claw, not tickled, ticked. One glossy black claw on the table. Stay here in your father's villa and drink his wine. A second claw came down. Take some of your father's wine down to the docks and drink it there. The third, drink some here and some down at the docks. Glim, how long has it been since we had an adventure? His lazy lizard gaze traveled over her face. If by adventure you mean some tiring or dangerous exercise, not that long. Not long enough, anyway. He wiggled the fingers of both hands as if trying to shake something sticky off them. A peculiarly Lilmothian expression of agitation. The membranes between his digits shone translucent green. Have you been reading again? He made it sound like an accusation, as if reading was another way of referring to, say, infanticide. Infanticide? A bit, she admitted. What else am I to do? It's so boring here. Nothing ever happens except a pine cone coming towards you. Sorry, that's my rendition. That's my addition to the book. Not for lack of your trying, Mirglim replied. We very nearly got arrested during your last little adventure. Yes, and didn't you feel alive? She said. I don't need to feel alive, the Argonian replied. I am alive, which state I would prefer to retain. You know what I mean. Ugh, that's a bold assertion, he sniffed. I'm a bold girl, she sat forward. Come on, Glim. He's a were-crocodile, I'm certain of it, and we can get the proof. First of all, Mirglim said, there's no such thing as a were-crocodile. Second, that's really sad. I wish there was a were-crocodile. Second, if there were, why on earth would we care to prove it? We're a crocodile. That's what I'm saying, dude. I swear, there's always been like teasings of different types than werebears and werewolves, and I am so here for it. I want more were things. I think they all sound so sick. Why not add them? Add them! Cowards! Why is ripped banned? Should I blame? Don't let a cat tell you what to do, even if they are ripped. Oh, right, I forgot the word ripped is banned. It is. Why is ripped banned? I didn't ban it. I think it's an auto ban. I mean, technically, I can call it a good week just because I went to the stadium and it was crazy, but overall, some stressful things came up. The situation overall is pretty messed up and complicated without going into much detail. But next week I have another job interview. I just hope for the best. I hope for the best too. I wish you all the luck in the world, and I'm sure you're gonna do great. I believe in you. Things aren't bad. I just didn't get enough sleep. I woke up early. I hope everything's going well for you. Well, I'm sorry you didn't get enough sleep again. I hope you get enough sleep this evening. I mean, it's weekend, so hopefully that helps. Thank you, Noah. No problem. We work seekers need to, support each other. Very important. Keep morale high, right? Yes. You will find a job. You will. You will. I do not doubt. But yes, let's continue. Because people would want to know. We'd be famous. And he's dangerous. People around there are always disappearing. In Puss Bottom? What? Puss Bottom? Where's that? She said the J word. What the heck? What do you mean? I can say that. I'm the streamer. Of course they are. It's one of the dodgiest parts of town. Look, she said. They've found people bitten in half. What else could do that? A regular crocodile? Lots of things, really. With some effort, I might be able to do it too. He fidgeted again. Look, if you're so sure about this, get your father to talk to Underwarden Ethton into sending some guards down there. Well, what if I'm wrong? Father would look stupid. That's what I'm saying, Glim. I need to know for sure. I must find some sort of proof. I've been following him. You've what? He gaped his mouth in incredulity. He looks human, Glim, but he comes and goes out of the canal like an Argonian. That's how I noticed him. And when I looked where he came out, I'm sure the first steps were made by a crocodile, and after that by a man. Glim closed his mouth and shook his head. Or a man stepped in some crocodile tracks, he said. There are potions and amulets that let even you, gaspers, breathe underwater. Gaspers? Is that what they call us? Is that what they call humans? What bottom? It is Puss Bottom. That's what it's called. P-U-S. Don't know why they call it that. Her friend sibilated along his, Then can we drink your father's wine? If he hasn't drunk it all. Fine. She clapped her hands in delight. Excellent. I know his routine. He won't be back in his lair until nightfall, so we should go now. Lair? Sure. That's what it would be, wouldn't it? A lair. Fine, a lair. Lead on. And now here we are, Anag thought. They had made their way from the hills of the old imperial quarter into the ancient gangrenous heart of Lilmoth, Puss Bottom. Imperials had dwelt here too, in the early days when the Empire had first imposed its will and architecture on the lizard people of Blackmarsh. Now only the desperate and sinister dwelled here, where Patrols rarely came. The poorest of the poor political enemies of the Argonian Angselil party that now dominated the city, criminals and monsters. They found the lair easy enough, which turned out to be a livable corner of a manse so ancient the first floor was entirely silted up. What remained was vastly cavernous and rickety, and not that unusual in this part of town. What was odd was that it wasn't full of squatters. There was just one. He had furnished the place with mostly junk, but there were a few nice chairs and a decent bed. That's about all they got to see before they heard the voices, coming in the same way they had, which was to say the only way. Aneg and Glim were backed up in the corner, and here the walls were stone. The only way to go was up, an old staircase, and that then even further, using the ancient frame of the house as a ladder. Aneg wondered what sort of wood, if wood it was, could resist decomposition for so long. The wall and floorboards here had been made of something else, and were almost like paper, so they had to take care to stay on the beams. Glim hushed himself. Glim hushed himself. The figures in the group below were gazing up, not at them, but in their vague direction. Aneg took a small vial from the left pocket of her double-breasted breast jacket and drank its contents. It tasted a bit like melon, but very bitter. She felt her lungs fill and empty, the elastic pull of her body around her bones. Sorry, I keep thinking about breast. Oh, sorry. Her heart seemed to be vibrating instead of beating, and the oddest thing was, she couldn't tell if this was fear. The faint noises below suddenly became much louder, as if she was standing among them. Why are you clipping? Where is he? One of the figures asked. They were hard to make out in the dim light, but this one looked darker than the rest. Possibly a Dunmer. He'll be here, another said. He, or maybe she, was obviously a Khajiit. Everything about the way he moved was feline. He will, a third voice said. Aneg watched as the man she had been following for the last few days approached the others. Like them, he was too far away to see, but she knew by the hump of his back, and her memory filled in the details of his brutish face and long, unkempt hair. Do you have it? The Khajiit asked. Just brought it in under the river. Seems like a lot of trouble, the Khajiit said. I've always wondered why you don't use an Argonian for that. I don't trust them. Besides, they have ripper eels trained to hunt Argonians trying to cross the outer canal. They're not so good at spotting me, especially if I rub myself with eel slime first. Disgusting. You can keep your end of the job, just as long as I get paid for it. He pulled off his shirt and removed his hump. Have a look. Have a taste if you want. Oh, Daedra and the vines, Aneg swore. From the beam they crouched on. He's not a werecrock. He's a skooma smuggler. No! Oh my god, the reveal. Oh my god. Sorry, I thought I felt a spider. I'm like scared right now. You're finally going to kill me, Glim said. Not so much kill you as get you killed. It works out the same. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, I keep thinking about breasts. Real, very based. Okay, guys, come on. Also, hi, Iron. I don't think I said hi earlier. I hope you're doing well. We're reading The Infernal City today. You cannot see the book because I haven't figured out how to share my screen without having to turn off my VTuber. So for today, it is just a listening stream. Argonian or other. I don't really think about Argonian breasts, I'm gonna be honest. Do you? And now Anaig was quite sure that what she felt was fear. No, because they don't have breasts, but they do though. I 100% do. Thank you for telling me, Aaron. Argonians have breasts. Argonians do have breasts. You know, what are you reading? I just told you. I'm reading the Infernal City. It's an Elder Scrolls book. Oh my god. History stored there. Todd's fanfic doesn't count. No, but even their bodies have breasts. I have you in the background. I'm not understanding, Lamau, but it is. It is. I'll take a picture after the stream if you want. Anyway. And now Anaig was quite sure that what she felt was fear. Bright, terrible animal fear. By the way, the Khajiit below said, lowering his voice, who are those two in the rafters? The man looked up. Coot, if I know, he said. Not of mine. I hope not. I sent Patch and Flitch up to kill them. Oh, Kaok, Anaig hissed. Come on, Glim. Sorry, these names are so confusing. As she stood, something wisped through the air near her, and a shriek tore out of her throat. I knew it, Glim snapped. Just come on, we have to get to the roof. They ran across the beams, and someone behind her shouted. She could hear her footfalls now. Why hadn't she before? An enchantment of some sort? There, Glim said. She saw it. Part of the roof had caved in and was resting on the rafters, forming a ramp. They scrambled up it. Something hot and wet was trying to pull out of her chest, and she hysterically wondered if an arrow hadn't hit her, if she wasn't bleeding inside. But they made it to the roof, and a 50-foot fall. She pulled out 2 vials and handed one to Mirglim. Drink this and jump. What? What is it? I'm not sure. It's supposed to make us fly. Supposed to? Where did you get it? Why is that important? Oh, Saul, you made it, didn't you? Without a formula. Remember that stuff that was supposed to make me invisible? It made you sort of invisible. It made my skin translucent. I looked like a ball of offal walking around. She drank hers. No time, Glim. It's our only hope. Their pursuers were coming up the ramp, so she jumped, wondering if she should flap her arms but what she did was fall and shriek. But then she wasn't falling so fast, and then she was sort of drifting, so the wind actually pushed her like a soap bubble. She heard the men hollering from the roof and turned to see Glim floating just behind her. See, she said, you need to have a little faith in me. She barely got the sentence out before they were falling again. Oh, goodness. It's telling that Bethesda never... Well, anyway, yes. Later, battered, sore, and stinking of the trash pile that broke their final fall, they returned to her father's villa. They found him passed out in the same chair Anaig had been in earlier that morning. She stood looking at him for a moment, at his pale fingers clutched on a wine bottle, at his thinning gray hair. She was trying to remember the man he had been before her mother died, before the Anxilil wrested Lilmoth from the Empire and looted their estates. She couldn't see him. Come on, she told Glim. They took 3 bottles of wine from the cellar and wound their way up the spiral stair to the upper balcony. She lit a small paper lantern, and in its light poured full 2 delicate crystal goblets. To us, she said. They drank. Old Imperial Lilmoth spread below them, crumbling hulks of villas festooned with vines and grounds overgrown with sleeping palms and bamboo, all dark now, as if cut from black velvet. Except where illumined by the pale, oh my god, what is this word? Phosphorescences. Phosphorescences of Lucan mold, or the wispy yellow airborne shines, harmless cousins of the deadly will-o'-wisps in the deep swamps. There now, she said, refilling her glass. Don't you feel more alive? He blinked his eyes very slowly. I certainly feel aware of the contrast between life and death, he replied. That's a start, she said. A small moment passed. We were lucky, Glim said. I know, she replied, but what? Well, it's no werecrock, but we can at least report skooma dealers to the underwarden. They'll be moved by then, and even if they catch them, that's a drop of water in the ocean. There's no stopping the skooma trade. There certainly isn't if no one tries, she replied. No offense, Glim, but I wish we were still in the Empire. No doubt that your father would still be a wealthy man and not a poorly paid advisor to the Angslil. It's not that, she said. There was justice under the Empire. There was honor. You weren't even born. Yes, but I can read, Mirglim. But who wrote those books? Bretons, Imperials. And that's Angsilil propaganda. The Empire is rebuilding itself. Titus Mede started it. And now his son Atrebus is... Oh, Atrebus is the son of Titus Mede. Oh, good to know, good to know, good to know. Is at his side. They're bringing order back to the world, and we're just dreaming ourselves away here, waiting for things to get better by themselves. The Argonian gave his imitation shrug. There are worse places than Lilmoth. There are better places too. Places we could go. Places where we could make a difference. Is this your Imperial City speech again? I like it here. It's my home. We've known each other since we were hatchlings. Yes, and if you didn't already know, you could talk me into almost anything. You do now. But leaving Blackmarsh, that you won't get me to do. Don't even try. Don't you want more out of life, Glim? Food, drink, good times. Why should anyone want more than that? It's people wanting to make a difference, causing all the troubles in the world. People who think they know what's better for everyone else. People who believe they know what other people need, but never bother to ask. Praise, praise, praise. Hatchlings, are they lizards? They are Argonians, because they're in a Black Marsh. That is their province. Well, their country, I guess. I have good enough of it on my own, but boba's more difficult to get my hands on. Really? Boba's so popular here. So yes, well, yes. People wanna... That's what your Titus Mede is spreading around. His version of how things ought to be, right? There is such a thing as right and wrong, Glim. Good and evil, if you say so. Prince Atrebus rescued an entire colony of your people from slavery. How do you think they feel about the Empire? My people knew slavery under the old Empire. We knew it pretty well. Yes, but that was ending when the Oblivion Crisis happened. Look, even you have to admit that if Mehrunes Dagon had won, if Martin hadn't beaten him, Martin and the Empire didn't beat him in Blackmarsh. Glim said, his voice rising. The Angsilil did. When the gates opened, Argonians poured into Oblivion with such fury and might, Dagon's lieutenants had to close them. Oh, damn. Anaig realized that she was leaning away from her friend and that her pulse had picked up. She smelled something sharp and faintly sulphurous. Amazed, she regarded him for a moment. Yes, she finally said, when the scent diminished. But without Martin's sacrifice, Dagon would have eventually taken Black Marsh too, and made this world his sport ground. Glim shifted and held out his glass to be refilled. I don't want to argue about this, he said. I don't see that it's important. You sounded as if you thought so for a second there, old friend. I thought I heard a little passion in your voice, and you smelled like you were spoiling for a fight. It's just the wine, he muttered, waving it off. And all of the excitement for the rest of the night. Can we just celebrate that your flying potion wasn't a complete failure? Also, hi, Blind! I hope you're doing well. Northwest West England is a land time forgot. Northwest England, that's so specific. I think the nearest boba place to me is a 4-hour drive. That's crazy, really. Yeah, there's loads of boba places here. The thing I was surprised about, actually, is that there's no smoothie places. I feel like smoothie places are more popular in Belgium than they are in England, which makes me sad because I love smoothies. I can order it home, and I have some chummy with me. We have that. Oh, yippee! I'm excited to go to Sweden then. She was starting to feel warm in her belly, the wine at its business. Well, yes, she said. I suppose that's worth a toast or two. They drank those, and then Glim looked a little sidewise at her. Anyway, he began, then stopped. What? He grinned his lizard grin and shook his head. You may not have to go looking for trouble. From what I heard, it might be coming for us. What's this? The Wind Oracle put its port today. Your cousin Ikta Nasha's boat. Yeah, says he saw something out on the deep. Something coming this way. Something? That's the crazy part. He said it looked like an island with a city on it. An uncharted island? An unmoored island, floating in the air, flying. Anaig frowned, set her glass down, and wagged a finger at him. That's not funny, Glim. You're teasing me. No, I wasn't going to tell you, but the wine... She sat up straighter in her chair. You're serious? Coming this way? Swat, he said. Huh? She replied, taking up the wine again and sinking back into her chair. I'll have to think about that. A flying city. Sounds like something left over from the Merethic era, or before. She felt her ample mouth pull in a huge smile. Exciting. I'd better go see Hekua tomorrow. And so they finished that bottle and opened another one, an expensive one. And outside the rain came, and as they always did, a moving curtain glittering in the lamplight, clean and wet, washing away, for the moment, Lil Mott's scent of mildew and decay. Wow. Let's continue now. Goodbye. Chapter 2, guys. Don't distract me again. Oh my god. Anyway, here we go. A boy was once born with a knife instead of a right hand, or so Colin had heard. Beep and attempted murder planted him in his mother, but she had lived and turned all of her thoughts towards vengeance. She laughed when he carved his way out of her. Oh my god! Fucking hell! This book is so graphic. Oh my god. And went gleefully into the world to slaughter all who had wronged her, and many who had not. And when his victims were drowning in their own blood, they might ask, "Who are you?" And he would answer simply, "Dog," which in the northern tongue is an old word for knife. According to the legend, it happened in Skyrim, but assassins liked the story, and it wasn't that uncommon for a brash, young, up-and-coming killer to take that alias and daydream of making that cryptic reply. The knife in Colin's hand didn't feel remotely a part of him. The handle was slick and clammy, and it made his arm feel huge and obvious, hanging by his side, just under the edge of his cloak. Why hadn't the man noticed him? He was just standing there, leaning against the banister of the bridge, staring off toward the lighthouse. He came over each Lordas after visiting his horse at the stables. Often he met someone there. There was a brief conversation, and they would part. He never spoke to the same person twice. Colin continued toward him. There was traffic on the bridge, mostly folks from Way going home for the night with their wagons and things they hadn't sold at the market. Lovers trying to find a nice place to be secret. But it was thinning out. They were almost alone. There you are, the man said. His face was hard to see, as it was cast in shadow by a watchlight a little farther up. Colin knew it well, though. It was long and bony. His hair was black with a little gray, his eyes startling blue. Here I am, Colin replied, his mouth feeling dry. Come on over. A few steps, and Colin was standing next to him. A group of students from the College of Whispers were loudly approaching. I like this place, the man said. I like to hear the bells of the ships and see the light. It reminds me of the sea. Do you know the sea? Shut up, Colin thought. Please don't talk to me. The students were dithering, pointing at something in the hills northwest. I'm from Anvil, Colin said, unable to think of anything but the truth. Ah, nice town, Anvil. What's that place? The one with a dark beer. The Undertow? The man smiled. Right, I like that place. He sighed and ran his fingers through his hair. What times, eh? I used to have a beautiful villa on the headland off Topol Bay. I had a little boat, 2 sails, just for the plying near the coast. Now, he raised his hands and let them drop. But you didn't come here for any of that, did you? I am tired. I will sleep. Night, lovelies. Good night. Good night. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining, Soy. I appreciate it. The French continues. What the hell? La fille chat ne... Le fille chat ne sait pas lire. Doesn't know reading? What? Anyway, if you want me to have... Oh, I am also leaving? Oh, okay. Bye, Shizu. Have a good evening. Bye, have a good sleep. If you want me to speak more French, I'm gonna get my French book and I'm gonna read that for a few minutes. Okay, instead? Okay, I will be right back. I'm just gonna get it. I was just doing it for the funny. No, you don't have to speak in French if you don't want to, if it's convenient. Inconvenient. No, I can do it. I mean, you redeem it. You redeemed it. It seems a bit silly not to do it. I will read this page to you. Yes? It's practice for me anyway. Winston était un garçon couvert d'acné, petit et rablé, qui semblait beaucoup trop apprécier son boulot. On l'a peut-être envoyé ici parce que c'était un tueur en série, sanguin Thomas. Durant la première heure, Winston lui présenta les animaux et lui fit découvrir la grange. Le chien, un labrador noir du nom de Breller, prit Thomas en affection et resta collé à ses basques durant toute la visite. Quand Thomas lui demandait d'où il sortait, Winston répondit que le chien était là depuis le début. On avait dû l'appeler comme ça par dérision parce qu'il était plutôt calme. La deuxième heure se passait au contact des bêtes, les nourrir, les poncer, réparer une barrière, ramasser le plank. Thomas s'aperçut que l'argot du bloc lui devenait peu à peu familier. La troisième heure fut la plus pénible. Thomas dut regarder Winston égorger et dépecer un porc pour la cuisine. En s'éloignant pour la pause de midi, Thomas se promit deux choses. D'abord, qu'il ne deviendrait pas un trancheur et ensuite qu'il n'avalerait jamais plus rien qui provienne d'un cochon. Winston lui avait dit de partir sans l'attendre, car il comptait rester encore un peu à l'abattoir. Yes. There you go. I just had an amazing idea that would likely be hilarious that I could redeem the say boobs after every sentence alongside the speaking French, but I'll spare you this time. Oh my god, no, I don't think anyone has ever done that. Yeah. Thank you for sparing me. That would have been really difficult. Like concentrating on saying things in French and then at the same time saying an English word, I think is very difficult. Right. Let's continue, shall we? Where were we? Oh, yes. What is the French for breasts? I know that a chest is poitrine, la poitrine, but I don't know what breasts is because I was too embarrassed to learn it. I haven't learned any of the not safe for work parts. Yes, but la poitrine is the chest. Yes, but this works obviously for a man and woman. Don't tempt me, Noah, by saying that no one has done it before. I'm sorry. I did think maybe that's wrong for me saying that. Let's continue. The students were finally moving off, talking busily in what sounded like a made-up language. I guess not, Colin agreed. His arm felt larger than ever, the knife like a stone in his hand. No, well, it's simple today. You can tell them there's nothing new. And if anyone asks, tell them that no food, no wine, no lover's kiss is as beautiful as a long, deep breath. What? A Surrey, Book 3, Chapter... What are you holding there? Stupidly, Colin looked down at the knife, which had slipped from the folds of his cloak and gleamed in the lamplight. Their eyes met. No! Shouted the man. So Colin stabbed him, or tried. The man's palms came up, and the knife cut into them. Ooh, oh my god, that sounds painful. Colin reached with his left hand to try to slap them aside, and thrust again, this time slicing deep into the forearm. Just stop it, the man gasped. Wait a minute, talk! The knife slipped past his thrashing limbs and sank into his solar plexus. I don't know even where that is. His mouth still working, the fellow staggered back, staring at his hand and arm. What are you doing? He asked. Colin took a step. Oh my god. Sorry. I've put an alarm on my phone. Basically, it's my stop eating, stop drinking alarm. Because I keep not, like, sleeping right. Because I keep having to wake up to go to the toilet. Because I have a tendency of, like, not drinking enough water throughout the day. And then, like, trying to catch up on it in the evening. So I've decided to, stop drinking at this hour. Because apparently, like, 1 hour or 2 hours, no, I think it's 2 or 3 hours before you go to sleep, you should stop drinking. So that's what I'm doing. No, stop drinking. Okay, I'll do one last sip, okay? Yes. But anyway, do you guys have that problem? I suck at drinking water. Usually when I work, I am less bad at it because I always bring a huge bottle, like 1.5 liters, I think, of water with me to work. And I usually don't go away from work until I finish that bottle. So I at least finish that. But for the rest, I really struggle drinking enough water. I found small sips better than fully stopping before bed. I forgot to drink a lot. I need a faucet at my desk or a bigger water bottle. A bigger water bottle would help. I am trying not to buy too many water bottles because I am very aware that I don't want to own too many, like, too much crap. Especially because now we've got a bigger house and I think it's easier to buy more when you have a bigger home and you don't realize how much stuff you have until you move. I don't want to be one of those people, so I'm trying to use what I've got. But a bigger water bottle would help. I could do with a third water bottle, to be honest, do it. I've got a really small water bottle and I've got a really big water bottle, but no in between. I just don't sleep, so I don't have problems like having to get up. Yes, you do. You just don't sleep very much or very well. Get like a 2-liter water bottle and drink it slowly throughout the day. I'm sure that's not going to be annoying to carry everywhere. Totally not. I think maybe I'll do that if I'm at home, but maybe not at work. Anyway, Colin took a step toward the man, who slumped against the banister. Don't! He wheezed. I have to, Colin whispered. I have to, Colin whispered. He stooped down. The man's arms came up, too weak now to stop Colin from cutting his throat. The corpse limped to a sitting position. Colin slid down next to him and watched the students, distant now, entirely unaware of what had just happened. Unlike the 2 men coming from the city, who were walking purposely toward him, Colin put his arms around the dead man's shoulder as if the fellow had passed out from drinking, and he was keeping him warm. But there wasn't even any need for that. One of the pair was a tall, bald man with angular features, the other an almost snoutless Khajiit. Arcas and Kasha. Into the river with him now, Arcas said. Just catching my breath, sir. Yeah, I saw. Quite a fracas when all we asked you to do was slit his throat. He fought. You were careless. First time, Arcas, Kasha said, smoothing his whiskers and twitching his tail impatiently. How sleek were you? Let's get him in the river and be gone. Fine. Lift, Inspector. When Colin didn't move, Arcas snapped his finger. Sir? You meant me? I meant you. Sloppily done, but you did do it. You're one of us now. Colin took the dead man's legs, and together they heaved him over. He hit the water and lay there, floating, staring up at Colin. Inspector. He'd been waiting 3 years to be called that. Now it sounded just another word. Put on his robe, Kasha said. Hide the blood until we get you cleaned up. Right, Colin said dully. He got his documents the next day from Intendant Marral, a round-faced man with an odd ruff of beard beneath his chin. You'll lodge in the tell hall, Marral told him. I believe you already have a case for you. He put down the pen and looked hard at Colin. Are you well, son? You look haggard. Couldn't sleep, sir. The intendant nodded. Who was he, sir? Colin blurted out. What did he do? You don't want to know that, son, Morale said. I advise you not to try and find out. But, sir, what does it matter? Morale said. If I told you he was responsible for the kidnapping and murder of 16 toddlers, would that make you happy? No, sir. What if I told you his crime was to make a treasonous joke about Her Majesty's thighs? Colin blinked. I can't imagine. You're not supposed to imagine, son. Yours is not the power of life and death. That lies far above you. It comes in essence from the authority of the Emperor. There is always a reason, and it is always a good one, and it is not your business. Do you understand? You do not imagine, you do not think, you do what you're told. What I've been trained to think, sir. This office trained me to think. Yes, and you do it very well. All of your instructors agree on that. You're a very bright young man, or the penitus oculatus would not have approached you in the first place. And you have done very well here. But any thinking you do, you see, is in service to your job. If you're asked to find a spy in the Emperor's Guard, you must use every bit of logic at your disposal. If you're asked to quietly discover which of Count Caro's daughters has been poisoning his guests, again, use your forensic training. But if you're given a clear order to steal, injure, poison, stab, or generally do murder, your brain is only to help you with the method and the execution. You are an instrument, a utensil of the Empire. I know that, sir. Not well enough. Or you wouldn't be asking these questions. He stood up. You're from Anvil. I seem to remember. One of the city guardsmen recommended you for testing. Regent Apprentice, yes, sir. Without his recommendation, what would you be doing right now? I don't know, sir. But he did, in a general way. His father was dead, his mother barely got by doing laundry for the better off. He'd managed to teach himself to read, but his education wouldn't have gone much further than that. And if it had, it wouldn't have been of any use to him. At best, he might have worked in the shipyard or managed to hire onto a ship. The imperial invitation had been a dream come true, offering him everything he'd wanted as a young boy. And that was still the case, despite this. And now he would draw a salary. He could send his mother some of that before she worked herself to death. This is the test, isn't it? He said. Not last night, now. The intendant ghosted a little smile. Both were tests, son, and this isn't the last, just the last official one. Every day on this job is a new challenge. If you're not up to it, the time to say so is now, before you're in over your head. I'm up to it, sir, Colin said. Very well then, Inspector. Take the rest of the day off. Report for duty tomorrow. Colin nodded and walked away in search of his new lodgings. Freddy, oh, you played the Rickroll. How long has it been since the Rickroll? Oh my goodness. Eons. Decades. Get a camelback. It's a water pouch you carry on your back. Wait, that sounds familiar. I don't actually know what it looks like, but it sounds familiar, yes. Yeah, but how am I even gonna use that? Oh, dude. This or this? It's the one. I didn't see that. So I actually dared you to come to stream, Dennis. He was the whole reason you're here. What the hell? I remember making you sing that back way on the stream. Good time. I know, I know. You made me do that all the time. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around and desert you. Good song, good song. Honestly, with the amount of times that it's been like memed, it's actually like a good song though. You know? It's sad that it's only a meme at the moment. Well, at the moment, then I guess, but still. Chapter 3. When Anaig awoke, Merglim was at the moment since 2008. Really? Yeah, I never found it annoying. I didn't find it annoying either. It's a good song. When Anaig awoke, Merglim was still sprawled on the floor, his breath rasping loudly. Oh, she muttered as she rose, pressing her throbbing temples, feeling her belly turn. How much wine had they drunk? She stumbled her way to the kitchen, winced at the sun as she unshuttered the windows. She built a fire in the stove, then opened the walk-in pantry in the diffused light and considered the sausages hanging in bundles. The long blades of salted pogfish. Oh my god, I forgot pogfish is a thing. Dennis, pogfish is a thing in the Elder Scroll games. So funny. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Barrels of flour, salt, sugar, rice, the pitiful basket of mostly wilted vegetables. There were eggs on the counter, still warm, so Tai Tai must be up and doing his job, which wasn't always the case. And there was her mother's antique leather-bound spice case with its 78 bottles of seeds and dried leaves. Everything she needed. Merglim wondered in a few minutes after the garlic and chilies hit the oil, and the air went sharp and pungent. I'm too sick to eat, he complained. You'll eat this, an egg told him, and you'll like it. Old Tenny used to make this for Dad before we couldn't afford her anymore. Love how you had to tell me about that specifically. Of course! I know why you did because Say already knows about the game, but still. Well, yes, it's just because most people on here have played the games, and I'm like, I need to tell Dennis this is actually a thing. It does kind of sound like a fish, a school of poggers. It just doesn't to me anymore because it's just like the meme is so ingrained in my mind now. I can't see it as something else than a meme. Thank you for letting me know. You're welcome. You're welcome. It's a good song. I used to listen to it all the time whenever I'd get rickrolled. Honestly, yeah, I'd just be glad when I got rickrolled. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, let's sing this song right now. Let's listen to this song right now. Why not? Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. If that's so, why is it different every time you make it? Last time it had peanuts and pickled pork, not chilies and garlic. We don't have any pork pickle, she replied. It's not the specific ingredients that matter, it's the principles of composition, the balance of essence, flavors, oils, and herbs. Saying that, she emptied the spices she had ground a bit before with mortar and pestle, and the earthy scents of coriander, cardamom, lady's mantle seeds, and ginger wafted about the kitchen. She added 2 handfuls of crushed rice, stirred that a bit, covered it with a finger of coconut milk, and set it to simmer with the lid on the pot. When the porridge was done, she ladled it into bowls and added slices of venison sausage, red ham, and pickled watermelon rind. That looks disgusting, Merglim said. Not done yet, she said. She broke 2 eggs and dropped them raw in each bowl. Glim perked up and his tongue licked out. Goose eggs? Uh-huh. Maybe I will try it. She set a bowl in front of him, and after an experimental bite, he began downing it with gusto. An egg tucked into her own. I already feel better, Mirglim said. See? Yes, yes. She took another bite. So tell me more about this floating city, she said. When is it supposed to be here? Ix said they outpaced it for 3 days and it never changed course before they finally got the wind they needed to really leave it behind. It was headed straight here, he said, and will arrive sometime early tomorrow at the pace it's coming. So what did he figure it was? A big chunk of rock, shaped like a top. They could see buildings on the rim. The ship's wind caller didn't like it. Quit the minute they got into port and left town fast on a horse. What didn't the wind caller like? He kept saying it wasn't right, that none of his magics could tell him anything about it. Said it smelled like death. Did anyone take word to the organism? I can never understand you two when you're together, a soft voice whispered. She turned her gaze to the door and found her father standing there. That smells good, he went on. Is there any for me? Sure, Tag, she said. I made plenty. She ladled him up a bowl and passed it. He took a spoonful and closed his eyes. Better than 10 thars, he said. Always in the kitchen, weren't you? You learned well. Do you know anything about this? Anaig said, a bit impatiently. It always bothered her, talking to her father, and she knew it shouldn't, and that bothered her twice. But he sounded so soul-weak, as if most of his spirit had leaked out of him. I wasn't kidding, he said. You've been like this since you were children. I recognize a few words here and there. Anaig waved the old complaint aside. This flying city that's supposed to be heading towards us. Do you know anything about that? I know the stories, he sighed, picking at the stew. It started with Urvwen. Anaig rolled her eyes. Crazy old Sijic priest, or whatever they call themselves. Said he felt something out in the deep water, a movement of some kind. So yes, he's crazy, and the Anxelil are irritated by him, especially Archwarden Gajalil, so he was dismissed. But then there were reports from the sea, and the organisms sent out some exploratory ships. And they're still out there, looking for a phantom, probably. After all, Urfwen has been spreading his message down at the docks. No wonder if sailors are seeing things. My cousin's ship put to sea from Anvil 3 weeks ago. Mirglim said he did not talk to Urfwen. Her father's face tightened oddly, the way it did when he was trying to hide something. Take, she said. Nothing, he replied. It's nothing to worry about. If it's dangerous, the Anxelil will meet it with the same might that drove the Empire out of Blackmarsh and the Dunmer out of Morrowind. But what would a flying city want with Lilmoth? What do the Hist say? Anaig asked. The spoon hesitated halfway up to her father's lips, then continued. He chewed and swallowed. Take! That's her father's name, by the way. So, I just want to clarify what everyone's name is, because I know this is very confusing if you're not reading the book. So basically, we have two Argonians. We have Anaig, and we have Glim. So Glim and Anaig. And Anaig's father is called Taeg, so Taeg, and that's where we are right now. But we also have another story going on of an Argonian called Colin, and Colin is, I suppose, becoming a assassin. So those are the two stories that are happening at the moment. Just wanted to clarify. Windseller. I was thinking she said wind collar. I was thinking what that was supposed to be. Ah. Yes. Sorry, it's so hard to know what I'm talking about if you can't see the page, is it? I need to figure out how to do perspectives. Like I've said before, maybe I just need to buy a second camera, but I don't know how I would do that. We shall see. Yes. Take! The city tree said it was nothing to worry about. Mirglim made a high, scratchy humming sound and fluttered his eyes. What do you mean, the city tree? He hesitated, as if he had said too much. Lorcan's bits, Glim, Anaig said. We're not visitors here, you know. He nodded. She hated how he was when he spoke straight Tamrielic. He didn't sound like himself. It's just this, the hist, they're all connected, of the same mind, so why mention the city tree in particular? Her father's eyes searched about a bit aimlessly, and he sighed again. The Anxilil and Lilmoth talk only to the city tree. What's the difference? Anaig said. Like Glim said, they're all connected at the root, right? So what the city tree says is what they all say. Glim's face was like stone. Maybe not, he said. What's that mean? Anaig, her father started. His voice sounded strained. When he didn't continue for a moment, she raised her hands. What take? Tissel, this might be a good time for you to visit your aunt in Leowin. I've been thinking you ought to anyway. I went so far as to set aside money for the voyage, and there's a ship leaving at dawn. That sounds worried to me, Tag. It sounds like you think something's wrong. You're all that's left me that matters, the old man said. Even if the risk is small, he opened his hands, but would not meet her eye. Then his forehead smoothed, and he stood. I have to go. I am called to the organism this morning. I will see you tonight, and we can discuss this further. Why don't you pack, in case you decide to take the trip? For a moment, she saw father. Leowin was an ocean voyage away, but from there she could reach the imperial city, even if all she had were her own 2 feet. Maybe. Can Glim go? I'm sorry, I've only money for 1 passage, he replied. I wouldn't go anyway, Glim said. Right then. Her father said, I'll be off. I'll have dinner brought from Kokina Thistle. No need to cook for tonight, and we'll talk about this. Right, Tag, she said. As soon as he was out of earshot, she leveled a finger at Mirglim. You go down to the docks and see what that crazy priest has to say. And anything else you can find out. I'm going to Hesuas. Why Hesuas? I need to fine-tune my new invention. Your falling potion, you mean? It saved our lives, she pointed out. On a related note, Glim said, why by the rotting wells are you worried about flying at this moment? How else are we going to get up on a flying island? By catapult? Ah, Mirglim sighed. No. Look at me, Glim, Anaig said. Slowly, reluctantly he did. I love you, and I'd love to have you along, but if you don't want to go, no worries. I'm going to give you a hard time, but I'm going, Sue. He held her gaze for a moment, and then his nostrils contracted. Xu, he said, meet you here at noon. I don't know what all of these, words are. I think they are, saying Argonian language, but, I don't know what Xu means. So that's fun, but yes, I hope you can still follow my crazy reading. I think I'm gonna go until chapter 4, and then that's gonna be for today. Very logical. Indeed. What are you up to? What is everyone up to? Yeah, what are you all doing while I'm reading? As Mirglim followed Lilmot's long slump to the bay, Imperials named Olus, he felt the cloud-rippled sky gently pressing on him. on the trees, on the ancient ballast stone paving. He wondered, which is to say that he gave his mind its way, let it slip away from speech into the obscure numbers of pure thinking. Words hammered, Words hammered thought into shape, put it in cages, bounded it in chains. Yell, the tongue of his ancestors, was the closest speech to real thought. But even a nag, who knew as much yell as anyone not of the root, her throat couldn't make all the right sounds, couldn't shade the meanings enough for him to really converse with her. He was for people, really. Merglim the Argonian, when he spoke the language of the empire, which cut his thoughts into human shapes. When he spoke to his mother or siblings, he was Muthilul the Saklil. When he spoke with a Saklil from the deep forest, or even with a member of the Angselil, he was a Lukiul, assimilated, because his family had been living under imperial ways for so long. When he spoke with an egg, he was something else, not between the two, but something very different from either. Glim. But even their shared language was far from true thought. True thought was close to the root. So if you don't know the lore, basically the Argonians, which is what these characters are, were created by the Hist. So they are and the Hist are basically trees. So they are very connected to these trees. That's basically what their whole culture revolves around. So when they talk about the root, they are talking about the Hist, aka the trees, just in case you did not know. The Hist were many, and they were one. Their roots burrowed deep beneath the black soil and soft white stone of black marsh, connecting them all, and thus connecting all Salklil, all Argonians. The Hist gave his people life, form, purpose. It was the Hist who had seen through the shadows to the Oblivion crisis, who called all of the people back to Marsh, defeated the forces of Merun's Dagon, drove the Empire into the sea, and laid waste to their ancient enemies of Morrowind. The Hist were of one mind, but just as he was four beings, the mind of the Hist could sometimes escape itself. It had happened before. It had happened in Lilmoth. If the city tree had separated itself, and the Angselil with it, what did that mean? And why was he going to do what Anaig had asked him to do, rather than trying to discover what was happening to the tree whose sap had molded him? But he wasn't he? He stopped and stared into the bulbous stone eyes of Xon Mel the Fisher, once ascendant organ lord, what the hell, of Lilmoth. Now all that was visible of him was his longer snout up to his head. The rest of him was sunken, like most of ancient Lilmoth, into the soft, shifting soil the city had been built on. If one could swim through mud and earth, there were many Lilmoths to discover beneath one's webbed feet. An image arose behind his eyes, the great stepped pyramid of Ixtat. Oh my god, these Argonian words are so hard to pronounce. Ixtax Titil Met. Only the topmost chamber still jutted about the silt, but the Angselil had excavated it, room by room, pumping it out and laying magics to keep the water from returning, as if they wanted to go back, not forward, as if something were pulling them back to that ancient Lilmoth. He stopped, realizing he was still walking without knowing exactly where he was going, but then he knew. The undertone of his thoughts had brought him here. Apologies for not for answering your question a bit late. Was like half bullying my friend for being awake at this time. Only I am allowed to be awake at this time. Well, that's a bit rude. What the hell? You can't be judging other people and you're not doing it. That's obviously not going to be effective. But that's fair, that's fair. Don't worry about it, don't worry about it. To the tree, or part of it, the city tree was said to be 300 years old, and its roots and tendrils pushed and wound through most of lower Lilmoth. And here was a root the size of his thigh, twisting its way out of a stone wall. Everything else around him had become waterish, blurred, but as he laid his webbed hand on the rough surface, the colors sharpened and focused. He stood there, no longer seeing the crumbling, rotted imperial warehouses, but instead a house of monstrous stone ziggurats and statues pushing up to the sky, a place of glory and madness. He felt a tremor around him, smelt anise and burning cinnamon, and heard chanting in antique tongues. His heart thumped oddly as he watched the two moons heave themselves through the low mist of smoke and fog that rolled through the streets, and the waters surged beneath them, around them, beyond the sky. His thoughts melted together. He wasn't sure how long it was before his mind complicated itself again. But his hand was still on the root. He lifted it and back away, and after a few long breaths, he began walking, and in the thick night around him, the massive structures softened, thinned, and went mostly away, until he was once again in the Lilmoth where his body was born. Mostly away, but he felt it now. The call the Anxilil felt, and he realized that part of him had already known it. He knew something else too. The tree had cut him off from the vision before it had run its course. Successfully bullied him to go to bed. You're such a good dad. You're doing great. Now why don't you go to bed yourself, huh? Huh? That was troubling. Gulls swarmed the streets like rats near the waterfront, most of them too greedy or stupid to even move out of his way as he picked his way through fish offal, shattered crabs, jellyfish, and seaweed. Barnacles went halfway up the buildings here. This part of town had sunk so low that when a double tide came, it flooded deep. The docks themselves floated, attached to a massive long stone quay whose foundations were as ancient as time and whose upper layer of limestone had been added last year. He made his way up the central ramp to the top of it. Here was a city in itself. Since the Anxilil forbade all but licensed foreigners in the city, the markets had all crowded themselves here. Here, a fishmonger held a flounder up by the tail, selling from a single crate of silver-skinned harvest. There, a long line of sheds with a Colovian trader's banner hawked trinkets of silver and brass, cooking pots, cutlery, wine, cloth. He had worked here. For a while, a group of his matrilineal cousins had set up a business selling thalul, a liquor made of distilled sugarcane. They'd originally sold the cane, but since their fields were 20 miles from town, they'd found it easier to transport a few cases of bottles than many wagon loads of cane, and far more profitable. Bruh, don't wanna? Well, you are really old, so you are a father. See? It's late. I woke up at 4. 4 p.m.? Christ. Kind of depends on... Well, it's later for you, Dennis, because you're obviously in a way different part of the world. But, I mean, say it's almost midnight, I think, so that's pretty late. For my standards, I would say. He knew where to find Irvin, right in the thick of it all, where the great stone cross that was a waterfront joined. The Sijik wasn't yelling as usual. He was just sitting there, looking through the crowd and past the colorful masts of the ships to the south, toward where the bay came to the sea. His bone-colored skin seemed paler than usual, but when the silvery eyes found Mirglim approaching, they were full of life. "You want to know, don't you?" he said. For a moment, Mirglim had trouble responding. The experience with the tree had been so powerful, but he let words shape his thoughts again. "My cousin said he saw something out at sea." "Yes, he did. It's nearly here." "What is nearly here?" The old priest shrugged. "Do you know anything about my order?" "Not much." "Few do. We don't teach our beliefs to outsiders. We counsel, we help." "Help with what?" "Change." Mirglim blinked, trying to find his answer there. "Change is inevitable," Irvin went on. "Indeed, change is sacred, but it is not to be unguided. I came here to guide. The Angselil and the city council, the organism that they so thoroughly control, do not listen." "They have a guide, the Hist." "Yes, and their guide brings change, but not the sort that ought to be encouraged. But they do not listen to me. Truth be told, no one here listens to me. But I try. Every day I come here and try to have some effect." "What's coming?" Merglim persisted. "Do you know of Artaeum?" the old man asked. "The island you Sijik come from," Glim answered him. "It was removed from the world once. Did you know that?" "I did not." "Such things happen." He nodded. More to himself, it seemed, than to Mirglim. "Has something been removed from the world?" he asked. "No," Irvin said, lowering his voice. "Something has been removed from another world, and it has come here." "What will it do?" "I don't know, but I think it will be very bad." "Why?" "It's too complicated to explain," he sighed. "And even you understood my explanation. It wouldn't help. Mundus, the world, is a very delicate thing, you know. Only certain rules keep it from returning to the is not." "I don't understand." The Sijik waved his hands. "Those boats out there, to sail and not founder. The sails and the ropes that hoist them, control them. Tension must be just so. They must adjust as the winds change. If a storm comes, they may even have to be taken down." He shook his head. "No, no. I feel the ropes of the world, and they have become too tight. They pull in the wrong directions, and that is never good. That is what happened in the days before the dragon fires first burned." "Are you talking about Oblivion?" "I thought we can't be invaded by Oblivion anymore." "I thought Emperor Martin—" "Yes, yes, but nothing is so simple. There are always loopholes, you see." "Even if there aren't any loops?" Urvwen grinned at that, but didn't reply. "So, this city," Merglim said, "it's from Oblivion." The priest shook his head so violently, Merglim thought it might come off. "No, no, no. Or yes. I can't explain. I can't. Go away. Just go away." Merglim's head was already hurting from the conversation. It didn't need to be told twice, although technically he had been. He wandered off to find his cousins and procure a bottle of Thalo. An egg could wait a bit. Late for Noah as well. 27 minutes overtime. Is 1 a.m. considered late today? I wouldn't say it's like late to your standards, to be fair, but still pretty late. Also, yeah, Noah putting overtime. I'm putting it overtime because I've been talking all stream and I wanted to get some stuff done, you know? Like I said, I wanted to get to chapter 4 so I can at least say I've done a little bit. So all we did, well, all I did, I guess, during this stream was talk. But that is going to be it for today because I'm well tired, like proper tired, ready for bed. It was a nice reading sesh. Yes, it was. Honestly, a good book so far. Like the way it's written is really good. I'm enjoying it, and I'm glad we're finally getting to it because I was like, oh my god, I need to read it. I need to read it, and we're finally doing it, so I'm happy. Um, yes, I will be publishing my stream schedule soon. I do enjoy your reading streams. Oh, do you, Blind? I'm so happy you do. I always find it so unclear whether people do because some people do, some people don't. Um, but I like switching things. I like switching it up. I've had a hard time following along, so I have no idea what the book is about except it's Argonians talking. So basically, the whole series, which is two books in my knowledge anyway, is basically about a floating city called the Infernal City. And basically, the book started with some Argonians on their ship seeing it like floating, and it's floating towards their town of Lilmoth. And basically, what the characters are doing right now is trying to find out what this city is up to, why it's coming to Lil Moth. They're talking, to the Sijic order. They're talking to the Anxilil, which is an Argonian order. And they're also, trying to connect with the Hist and everything to basically try to find out what is happening and what this city is and where this came from. Um, Especially because this is basically in the time period after the Oblivion expansion. So Martin has defeated Maron's Dagon and he has closed the gates of Oblivion. So it shouldn't have like been possible for something to get out of Oblivion back to the mortal realm, but it has in some way, it seems, but we don't know more than that at the moment. They will get massacred and enslaved. Well, we don't know, but apparently what they think is, yes, um, yes. We don't know very much yet. Well, thank you for the stream as always. No, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. I always appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It seems like an invasion. It does, doesn't it? And there's a city on the rock, so it does seem like, yeah. I truly wish there was an Elder Scrolls Black Marsh. I quite agree, to be honest. I think the Argonians are definitely one of the most interesting races in the Elder Scrolls games. They have so many aspects to them, and they're so much more alien compared to all the other races in Tamriel. Obviously, you do have, you do have why did I, why did I forget their name? There are a few like that are alien-like as well, but it's just the way that they like were even created, being born from the hiss and everything, that is so different and so interesting. Especially if it was as weird as Morrowind. Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously they've got like Black Marsh in the Elder Scrolls Online, but I do think it's a bit different than if it's focused like Skyrim was and everything. So I would love to see that as well, to be honest. I would love to see that, but I sadly I don't think we're gonna see it. Or not in the next years anyway, sadly. But yes, I will be posting my stream schedule soon. But obviously next weekend I won't be able to stream again because I will be going on a travel again. And don't say, oh my god, you travel so much. It's just like a lot of travels after each other. Um, know my sleep schedule post when? Well, if you want to know my sleep schedule, I sleep usually around 11:30 p.m. Till like 7, 8 a.m. Probably won't even see Elder Scrolls 6. I mean, it's coming, but we might be like, you know, in a retiring home when it's released. Yay, travel. Looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it too. I'm so excited, honestly. I'm so, so excited. But yes, see you guys very soon. I will do proper planning. I promise. Peace out. Yeah, eat enough, sleep enough, all that good stuff. Otherwise, I will be in your wall and all that. Yes, I will be back on Sunday, and we are playing. What are we playing? Oblivion. Yippee! Because I'm really enjoying it. I love the Shivering Isles. And thank you for joining, Dennis. Always so nice to see you. I wish you all the luck with your uni and everything. But yeah, lovely to see you. See you, everyone. Good night. Good night. Bye bye. Bye bye.